Good morning. Welcome to another edition of ONNPoint. We're live on TV. We're live on Facebook. And we got a couple big shows next week. The Director of Tourism, Sault Ste. Marie, Jennifer King-Callan. And in the studio today, we have the Executive Director, Dan Hollingsworth of the Economic Development Corporation of Sault Ste. Marie. He's live and he'll be with me right after these commercial messages.
This is On TV.
In your home, lighting is just as important as style.
With PowerView Motorization from Hunter Douglas, you can schedule your shades to light up the room. Create privacy, or both, automatically. No hands required.
So your shades will always be in the right place at the right time in style. And it's only from Hunter Douglas.
Welcome back to ONNPoint, Tuesday, November 19th. I'm Andy Martins. We're live on TV, live on Facebook, and I'm thrilled to welcome the Executive Director of the Economic Development Corporation of Sault Ste. Marie to ONNPoint, his first appearance, because this guy, whatever he does, is so critical to Sault Ste. Marie. Welcome, Dan Hollingsworth, and it's a thrill to have you on the show.
Well, Andy, thanks for having me. I really appreciate you allowing me some time on the show today. Kind of talk about some of the things we're doing at the Economic Development Corporation and kind of spread some of the word about some of the projects we're working on, as well as some of the accomplishments this year so far. So thanks for having me.
No problem. I thought we'd start with this, Dan, a little bit of your background. And you've been doing economic development for a long time.
I didn't think I was that old, Andy, but it's sure starting to feel that way, isn't it? Yeah, I've been in economic development for well over 20 years now. I started my career off in the private sector out of university, working in the tourism industry somewhat. Then I went on to work in the not-for-profit world, helping companies access capital for financing, both equity and conventional financing. Then I took a bit of a turn and went into the public service and worked for FedNor for almost 13 years before joining the Economic Development Corporation 6 years ago. So lots of different experiences over the period of time. Great career so far. Been able to work in a variety of sectors, and the exciting part of this job is that no 2 days are ever the same. There's different opportunities. There's different sectors that we're pursuing. So it changes every year, and it's quite exciting.
I'm thinking, Dan, out loud here. Economic development for you must be thrilling because your work creates a lot of good things for a lot of people.
Right, Andy. We do a lot of work. Economic development is a real community-based approach, and I think that's one thing I'd like to stress. It's not just ourselves working in the shop downtown in the Civic Center, but really it's a community approach and working with a variety of partners, stakeholders in the community. different organizations, as well as the provincial and federal government. So I think that's really important to stress to today, is that economic development is a community-based approach. So as it is a community-based approach, things change on a year-to-year basis. As much as we develop longer-term plans, opportunities come up, and we look at how we chase those opportunities down.
Right, exactly. Let's talk a little bit about the Economic Development Corporation, how it works for the viewers on the business side of things.
Sure thing. So maybe just to kind of set the stage a little bit, the Economic Development Corporation has both the business development side, which works with small companies, micro enterprises, existing companies in the community, as well as looking at chasing opportunities to attract investment to the community. Also, we have our tourism division, which is Tourism Sault Ste. Marie, that is within the entity.
Right.
Looking at how we attract meetings, conventions, visitors, travelers to the community to really grow the tourism sector, as well as there's a variety of special projects and initiatives that we undertake at the Economic Development Corporation. And I think it's important to note that a lot of that is the foundational piece in the community to either build infrastructure or look at projects that really enable the community to move forward.
So the Tourism and the Economic Development Corporation are like partners. They're going humming together side by side and making things happen for the community.
So that's right. My role is as the executive director is really to look at harmonizing the activities of both the entities within the organization and setting the long-term strategy and goal, along working with our community-based board in the city of Sault Ste. Marie. So that's really what my goal is to build opportunities and strategies that align with the community's interests as well as those of the private sector.
Right. Are you happy with the way the strategies and the goals have worked in 2019 so far for the Economic Development Corporation?
Well, I think, Andy, we've had a very successful year. We've been defining business plans over the last several years. We've been fine-tuning those business plans, and I think in 2019 we're well on our way to really achieve the goals that we established at the beginning of the year. We've had some great opportunities this year. We've seen an increase in some of the visitation to the community on the tourism side. On the business side, we've seen a number of new startups. We'll be putting a roll-up of results of those at the end of this year that we do on an annual basis. Really trying to get that message out to the community with respect to putting our results out on a quarterly basis and then annually rolling it up into a report so that the public knows what the Economic Development Corporation is doing, the activities that we're undertaking, as well as the initiatives that we're pursuing and developing on behalf of the community.
You guys are doing a fantastic job in the social media, LinkedIn and other things, very visible in terms of letting other people around North America and the world see what we're doing.
Yeah, we've, as most organizations have seen, that social media is so important and so fundamental to the work that you do of how you get the message out about your community, the assets that your community has, the activities that you're undertaking in your community. So social media is a big part of what we do nowadays, and it's really replaced a lot of some of the conventional marketing that we might have done 3 to 5 years ago with respect to the methodology that we might have undertaken. So social media has become a big piece of it, and you have to have a good game in social media to let the worldwide audience know what your organization is doing, as well as what opportunities exist in your community, and spreading that message to a broader audience.
Because you're right, if you don't do it, you don't know what kind of opportunities you're missing.
Well, I think the other piece is with social media, it's engagement. You can get some instant engagement with who your audience may be, and I think we're seeing more of that, as you mentioned to me earlier, with respect to LinkedIn is one example. We can get some instant feedback about some of the activities that we're undertaking, some of the initiatives that we're working on, and in some cases it provides us with some direct leads as far as opportunities that we can pursue.
And you've probably been surprised at the social media, what kind of leads that can produce, quite frankly.
Right, it is. And when we place something, or we have a message that we're putting out on social media, it gets broadcast again and again by other parties. So I think that that's part of the advantages to social media marketing.
Exactly. Somebody's looking in India or wherever worldwide, and oh yeah, I might be interested in this opportunity, and provide you with a lead. Can you tell us about some of the projects the Economic Development Corporation is working on?
Sure. So maybe I'll start with just our business development division.
Okay.
We have within the Economic Development Corporation all our enterprise services. So that's the services to small businesses that we offer through counseling, mentoring, support for startups. They're all offered through Millworks Center for Entrepreneurship. In 2016, we developed that facility that's located at the Mill Square, which is down by the machine shop. Our operations are right in there. We operate a small business incubator with a variety of different opportunities for clients to have space, shared services, access to counseling, mentoring, and some of the services. We've had well over probably 15 companies go through the program there now at Millworks over the last 3 years. Very successful. We've graduated some of those companies out. But also we provide, in some cases through provincial support, we have programs available to micro enterprise and entrepreneurs. We have the small business startup program there, as well as the summer company program that we run on an annual basis and produce a number of budding entrepreneurs for the community. Also, it gives us an opportunity to put some wraparound services around our clients. We have office space as well as hot desks available for individuals and small micro enterprises that they can access the programming through Millworks at. So it's been a big plus to our organization. We've seen an uptick in certainly the number of startups that we've seen over the past 3 years. And I think it gives us a venue that we can do training in, as well as do small workshops and seminars. Our other component of business development is our business retention and expansion program, very focused on certain industries within the community, certain sectors, advanced manufacturing, clean tech, ICT in some cases, where we go out and we actually meet with the clients, look at some of their opportunities, perhaps in some cases some of their challenges, and then we help develop a plan of how we deal with that. We also do some training around that with respect to different types of programming, for example, like exporting.
Right.
And also, we're very unique in the fact that we can help companies position themselves for potential financial support through conventional financing and/or through programs at the provincial and federal government, such as the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund, or through FedNor within the community here.
That's fantastic, because these companies come out much better with all the Millworks, and these things are really key pieces in the overall developing small business, and small business really is the key, isn't it, Dan?
Absolutely. Over 90% of the employees in Sault Ste. Marie that are in the private sector work in small businesses. So I think that that's really important to note, that it is such a strong sector. And having the Millworks Center for Entrepreneurship and our business retention and expansion program really helps put wraparound services around clients to ensure that they're successful over the long term. That's really what we want to see, because most of your community growth really comes from within, from the companies that you work with.
Right. Stay right there, Dan. We'll take a couple of commercial breaks, and if you're ever wanting to know what the Economic Development Corporation does, this is the show. We'll be right back after these commercial messages.
Ontario established a $100 million affordability fund to help Ontarians who don't qualify for low-income conservation programs ease the burden of their electricity bill. Whether you rent or own your home, as long as you pay your electric bill, you could qualify. There are 3 levels of support available. The first is a home energy kit with upgrades like smart power bars and LED light bulbs. The second includes Energy Star appliances that help keep things cool during the hot summer months. The third is for electrically heated homes so that your power bills don't break the bank during those long Canadian winters. Plus, all upgrades, including installation, are completely free of charge. Visit affordabilityfund.org or call 1-855-494-FUND to find out if you qualify.
We're back on ONNPoint, live on ONTV and Facebook, and we're talking with the Executive Director of the Economic Development Corporation, Dan Hollingsworth. Welcome back to ONNPoint, Dan.
Thanks again, Andy. It's great to be here this morning.
No problem. Hey, it's great having you.
Thank you.
Let's talk about investment attraction.
Sure
That's
thing.
an important piece of the puzzle.
Right. So, we over the past 4 years, we put a more concerted effort at the Economic Development Corporation to really get a better understanding of where we need to be to attract investment to the community. Basically, in 2016, we worked on a strategy with the support of the City of Sault Ste. Marie, as well as with the provincial and federal government. We developed a 3-year program called Invest Sault Ste. Marie, which really enabled us to collect some really good data on the competitiveness of our community. We participated in a program through KPMG, which is kind of a global competitiveness piece to benchmark Sault Ste. Marie. And we were in the top 10 as far as our competitiveness in the community, benchmarked against communities in Canada and the United States. So that's really good news.
Great.
From that, we did further work into really assessing some of the sectors that we felt we had an advantage in. So based on what we have in Sault Ste. Marie, obviously the advanced manufacturing sector based on fabrication of steel products, forestry products, and other types of goods, as well as looking at new sectors in smart energy, clean tech, as well as ICT. So we're really focused on those areas when it comes to the outreach efforts that we do in investment attraction. We've built a new website, Invest Sault Ste. Marie, which we've captured a lot of the data points for the community and continue to keep that information live. So we're really pleased with the amount of progress that we've made with respect to really getting a firm handle on what we need, what information investors are looking for, as well as getting the data points that would help them make business investment decisions here in Sault Ste. Marie. So our website contains a lot of that information. As well as some of the information related to available properties, working with some of the local realtors here in Sault Ste. Marie. So that's basically our go-to site that we use for when we're talking to new investors or new opportunities outside of the community, to basically package up some of the information that they'd be looking for. I should mention as well, I think in Sault Ste. Marie, we're quite fortunate to have partnerships from the Economic Development Corporation standpoint, not only with the city, but we also work with the Innovation Centre. And having the capacity of the Innovation Centre on looking at GIS modeling and being able to quickly and rapidly respond to inquiries from potential investors on site selection, that's a huge advantage. That puts us head and shoulders above other communities across Canada and North America.
You read my mind, Dan. I was just going to ask you about the partnership with the Innovation Centre. That's a lucky piece to have some piece like the Innovation Centre right here in Sault Ste. Marie, isn't it?
Absolutely. As I just mentioned, the capacity that we work, number one, we work on a lot of projects together, whether it's private sector projects or, some of those community foundational pieces that I talked about earlier. But having the ability, and especially in our building at the Civic Center, having the ability to walk upstairs to the Innovation Center and we have a client looking at an opportunity and quickly isolate a parcel of land, the characteristics of the land, the ownership of the land as well as the servicing that's on that site really gives us the ability to quickly put a package together of information, and that's key. It's all about how quick you can respond to some of these opportunities. So again, that's a great partnership that we have with them, and as a result, it's led to some pretty interesting opportunities that we've been able to chase down.
Let's talk next about Beyond Borders and third quarter results. Beyond Borders is something the viewers may have heard in the news, and again, it's another important piece that the Economic Development Corporation is doing.
So through our partnerships, Andy, over the past couple of years with our colleagues in Sioux, Michigan, in 2014 we signed a joint international relations and economic growth agreement with the city of Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. That agreement really outlined some of the areas we wanted to work on, and obviously looking at how we collaborate is one of the pieces that really jumped up to the top of the mix. So over the past couple of years, we've been working closely with Sioux, Michigan, Chippewa County Economic Development Commission, as well as the Eastern Upper Peninsula Economic Development Authority, to really look at not only just how individually we market our regions and our assets, but look at how we can collaboratively work together. So as part of that agreement, we've looked at developing a foreign trade zone point here for Sault Ste. Marie. We're just in the process of finalizing that, and hopefully we'll get approval from the federal government early in 2020 on that, which gives us some really interesting pieces that we can then collaboratively market with the federal government. As well as our colleagues in the United States have looked at building out their free trade zone, which has expanded it to basically a portion of Chippewa County. So these two, the two assets that we have, the market that we serve, the investment attraction that we're going after, we just thought it makes really good sense moving forward to look at how we can partner and kind of build a better approach to marketing the region based on the foreign trade zone and free trade zones, as well as the infrastructure we have in the community, the industrial facilities that we have, industrial park facilities, as well as some of the land opportunities that we have. The other piece I should mention in that is the talent equation in both communities. We're quite fortunate that we have both two post-secondary institutions here in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, as well as Lake Superior State in Sioux, Michigan. Right. So, Andy, these are all just really good ingredients that we just felt, there's a bigger play at hand here, and how do we work together collaboratively to really promote the region as a destination for investment.
Exactly. Before the time runs out on us, let's set the table for Jen will be on the show on Monday. Talk a little bit about tourism.
So yeah, Jen was hired as the new director of tourism in September of this year, and we've got some exciting projects happening in tourism. I think moving into 2020, you will see some changes on the landscape, if you want to call it that. We've been working quite proactively with the private sector on the development of the new train station that's going to be housed down at the machine shop location. You can see the building being constructed right now. We're quite hopeful that will be ready for the train depot as of June of 2020. We're also working on a new model for the train, for the Agua Canyon tour train. So that's been a lot of work this year on getting that project together, and we're just in the final throes of establishing what that new model may look like. So hopefully in the new year we'll have a better understanding of that. Even to talk about Searchmount for a minute, that was one of the projects that the EDC undertook a couple of years ago with respect to stabilizing the asset and getting some of the upgrades required to make it marketable to a private sector investor. And last year we were able to sell the resort to Wisconsin Resorts out of the U.S. And I think a lot of the skiing market will be really pleased with the changes that they'll see out there, from the resort improvements, snowmaking improvements, right down to the complete lodge improvements. So stay tuned on that. We're sure hopeful that the snow comes early this year. I know some people might want to be shoveling that early, but obviously good for our economy. So Jen will be on the show next week, and I'm sure Jen's going to talk more about some of the developments in tourism. We're going to see some increases in cruise ships over the next couple of years. So a lot of exciting things happening. I think this is a good time for investment in tourism.
And this new owner in Searchmount, it's great because there's a market in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan, and even down Illinois that normally we wouldn't touch, but we have a new owner here now, and it sets us up for a great winter.
Well, I think too, tapping into the client base and the market that they already have with Wisconsin Resorts really adds value to the property here in Canada and pulling some of that market up. Obviously, us working with Tourism Sault Ste. Marie, working with Wisconsin Resorts to look at co-marketing, we're starting to get into market on that very shortly. So I think there's some great opportunities to pull more visitors out of the U.S. into here in Sault Ste. Marie, into Searchmount to build more visitation in the community.
Right. Can you give us a couple of quick goals that the Economic Development Corporation will have for 2020 going forward?
Well, Andy, we've got a defined business plan moving forward. Obviously, continuing small business and growing small business is one of the key pieces of what we want to do. And on the business side, working with local companies to ensure their success. We're starting a new project with partnership of the communities across Northern Ontario through Ontario's North Economic Development Corporation to look at more effort into the defense sector to diversify some of the manufacturing base. And again, attracting investment. We're going to be out doing some more outreach next year to certain markets in aviation, defense, and manufacturing as well, to some of the key trade shows. So that's some of the efforts that we're going to place for 2020. I think we're going to have some exciting stories to share next year as well.
And it's a partnership that you mentioned before the broadcast. It's a 3 to 5 year process. It doesn't happen on a dime, economic development.
No, and I think that's one point to talk about. Obviously, we have goals every year, but some projects that we work on do take 3 to 5 years to develop them. That's part of what economic development is about. It's that community-based approach, and it's all about partnerships. And we rely on those partnerships to make some of these projects happen. And certain timelines can change from time to time. But obviously, we see the horizon on some of these projects over 2 to 3 years. That's the nature of the business that we do.
In our remaining moments, Dan, can you give us more information where people can go if they wanted more information on economic development in Sault Ste. Marie?
Sure. So if any of the viewers out there interested in starting a business, come see us at 83 Huron Street down at the machine shop location. We're located right there as the Millworks. Staff are there to help out. Come on in, set up an appointment. You can read about us on our website, sioux-canada.com, or you can visit the millworks.ca for more information on those services. For other inquiries, just call our general business line here in Sault Ste. Marie at 705-759-5432.
Awesome. And one final question. Where do you see Sault Ste. Marie in 5 years?
Well, I think, if our projections are correct, we're working with the community very closely on attracting newcomers to the community and migrants to the community with respect to the workforce requirements. So I think we're going to see some growth in Sault Ste. Marie. I think we're one of the communities in Northern Ontario that's scheduled for growth.
Awesome, Dan. Thank you for a fabulous show. I've enjoyed every second of it, and I know the viewers have too, with economic development.
Well, thanks so much for having me, Andy. I appreciate the time today, and I appreciate having me on the show to talk about some of the things that we're doing at the Economic Development Corporation, not only on the business side, but on the tourism side. I hope I'm welcome to come back at any time to talk on your show.
You are, my friend. You are.
Thanks for having me today.
You'll be coming back in 2020. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
We'll be back to wrap up the show right after these messages.
Here's to the straggly ones. The first ones. But hey, I look good with this ones. The black, brown, red, and gray ones. The itchy ones. The ones grown by Dad. The ones grown for Dad. The I nearly didn't do it this year ones. And the absolutely filthy ones. They all raise awareness, raise funds, start conversations, and save lives. Because whatever you grow will save a bro. Sign up now at Movember.com.
Welcome back to On Point. We hope you enjoyed this show with Dan Hollingsworth, the Executive Director of the Economic Development Corporation. Coming up on Monday, Jennifer King-Callan, the Director of Tourism, Sault Ste. Marie, as we continue talking about development and tourism being a key piece. Looking forward to December. Lisa Vizot-Allen will be here on December 2nd to talk about many things, plus her Grocer for Good, launching on Gore Street on that same day. So have yourself a great day. We'll see you next time on Point. I'm Andy Martins.